everyone. So today I have another very exciting episode of the Spartan official interviews. Liam Hartery here, and today I'm joined by the monk Nathan Dixon. Recently won the British strawweight title at Spartan bare knuckle fight club in pit fighting. Pretty much the most brutal form of bare knuckle fighting out there. For anyone that doesn't know, obviously a lot of people will, but for anyone that doesn't know, the smallest arena in combat sports, 8 foot by 8 foot, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And today we're going to be talking about Nathan's fight career, including his recent victory, as I mentioned, for the British title, his future plans, what it's like working with Spartan, and a whole lot more cool stuff that we're going to get into. So, Champ, first and foremost, let me just say a big thank you for coming on, mate. Big thank you
Thank
for
you for having me.
absolute pleasure. So, like I was saying just now, I see you repping the brand there as well. Yeah, the monk, Team
But Monk,
Dixon. Yeah, love it, love it. Brilliant. So obviously you're coming off the back of a very big win for the British title, as I just mentioned in the intro. Talk to us a little bit about the fight itself. You know, in terms of how the fight went in your own words. Obviously, I've seen it. A lot of people have seen it, but how it went in your own words and what it was like winning the title. Just in terms of what that felt like, what went through your mind. Let's start there. Let's start with that achievement.
yeah, well, it was a big achievement. Obviously, I set out to go for the belt, and that's what I got. I went there, and I went over there, and I was going to win it anyway. But I had a couple of pullouts on that fight. Didn't expect to have the opponent who I got. He fair play to him. He stepped up 13 days notice. I've got respect to anybody who gets in that pit. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was all right. It wasn't the best of the fight for me, to be honest. There's a lot more to me than what's been seen in that pit. And still, the best is to be seen yet, you know. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved winning it, and I'd have liked it to go on a little bit longer for fans and see a bit more of myself, but it is what it is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a great achievement, and obviously, in a moment like that, you know, when you realise that you know you've won and the fight stopped or whatever, and you know they give you the belt. In that sort of moment, what goes through your mind in a moment like that? You know, like the first thing you think, if you get what I mean. It's just people always talk about the physical side of the fight because pit fighting is as brutal as it gets. But I'm just curious, you know, when you actually won it, what was like the first thing that went through your mind? If you get what I mean.
There's a picture on Facebook floating about with me. It was me up stood on bales, and Christian's looking up at me, and that picture says it all. You know, it's a great achievement, and like I said, I wanted to go for that belt, and I got it.
Yeah, it's an
Just
amazing achievement. It's something you should be so proud of. And, you know, I know obviously the best is yet to come with your career. You know, there's big fights out there. There's a lot more to come. But I've just started with the belt because it's, you know, such a
yeah.
big, something to be very proud of. What about the reaction from, you know, your friends, your family, your community, like your close people, you know, whoever they may be? What was the sort of feedback like when you sort of came home with the belt and when it, you know when it got out there that you'd won on socials and all that? What was the feedback from everyone?
There's like everyone calling me champ now, you know, and it's like I can go into a pub and but people I don't even know come up to me and be like, "Oh, I know you. I seen your fight. You won that belt for Spartan, didn't you?" It's like it's mad. It's mental. It's crazy. Spartan's made me a name what I am now. You know, it's Spartan. Spartan's going to be big. It's already big now, but it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely on the up and up as a brand, and I, you know, I say that, and every time I speak to Kristen as well, obviously he's got new ideas about how to grow it, and you know, new deals and new things going on. It's just I love his vision for you
Yeah,
know how
never
far it can
stops.
go, you know, and yeah, well, that's it. And you know, as you say, it's already big now, but it's going to be a lot bigger. So 100%, and we'll talk about that more, you know, shortly. But before we get into that, obviously, you know, we've touched on, like I said to you at the beginning, we'll talk about the past and the future. So we've touched on the belt. Talk to us a little bit about going back in time a little bit before winning the belt when you first got involved in Spartan, and obviously you had your debut and different things. But I want to go back and just get a feel for what inspired you to actually, you know, jump in the pit in the first place. Basically, you know, if you think back to you know where the journey began, can you
Yeah.
talk to us about where you first got the idea and that type of thing?
Well, to start with, my cousin was meant to be doing it, and he said he couldn't get matched up for it. Like, so like, I've never seen this pit fighting, and when I saw it, I was like, I can do that. I'll put my name forward, like, and well, no weight category for my weight. So we're only 8.5 stone, and well, no weight category for me. So Christian said, just wait on next year, we'll get a new weight category out for you. So like, no problem. And I was waiting and waiting, and New Year were creeping up, and I put a post on for Spartan page saying, any warriors my weight want to fight, let's go for it. And people were like, my gloves weigh more than you, my right arm weighs more than you. And I was like, you might say that, but once you see me in there, you'll see different. And I ended up getting a lad, I think it was Callum Nutley, who said he'll fight me. Ended up being my weight, 8.5 stone or something like that. And it COVID come, he ended up pulling out, obviously, due to COVID situation. He didn't want to go into the fight. And yeah, that's what I see. I see it. I just thought I can do that. I'll be a champion at that one day. And look at me now.
Yeah, and the prophecy has become true, as they say. So, amazing, absolutely amazing. Jumping in the deep end as well, which is basically what you've done. I mean, you've jumped into the most brutal form of combat out there, and by the way, I will say to people, that's no disrespect to the ring, because the ring is great, but it's a totally different thing than being in the pit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just,
I've done ring and I've done pit, and it's like I say, fits me all over. I can do ring, I can bounce about, dance about in the ring, you know what I mean? But no, it's just that bit. It's the way to be.
yeah, it's the real deal. Absolutely nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and just all action, So absolutely. So another thing to touch on, which I think is very cool, as soon as you're repping the brand there as well, is the name, the Monk, right? I'm going to touch on where that initially came from, because it's quite catchy, it's quite memorable. Do you know what I mean? When you've heard it once, it sort of sticks with you, and obviously your fighting style is very exciting. Most fights in the pit are very exciting, but your fights are very exciting. They're very high energy, so that's very memorable. But the name, the Monk, it's cool. It's catchy. So where did that initially come from? Did you come up with it? Did someone else come up with it? What
Well,
happened there?
when I was a kid at school, I was nicknamed Edgemont. Always fighting in edges and stuff like that. So I got the name of Edgemont for some reason. It just stuck with me through school. I lost it as I got older, but then I got a picture of when I went bald. Obviously, I started losing my hair up front, so I cut my hair off and left it here. Just cut his front bit here and just left this side on. And Christian got hold of the photo and put it on Spartan page. And somebody went, Nathan, the monk, Dixon. And I was like, you know what? That's the one I used to be called Edge Monk anyway. That's my name. So that's where
That's
that's from.
Yeah, that's where it came from. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And obviously, talking about that since you've got the brand there and you've got your own hoodie, is that something that you're going to be now marketing more to sort of people can buy those and doing your own brand like what Tony Meehan and people like that used to do? I know he's left Spartan now, but that type of thing, or is it just something for you personally? Because I can see people buying those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if anybody wants them, I put them in touch with person who wants them. There's a couple of people out there who've got a few of my jumpers and stuff, but yeah, obviously I'm not concentrating on marketing it. If they want to buy it and support me, they'll message me. I'll point them in my direction. But I won't buy. I'm just obviously here to fight. I'm not here to be making a clothing brand. I'm just here to fight. To be honest.
Yeah, well, that's the mentality to have. It's the mentality you've got to have in the pit. But I just had to give it a mention because it's cool. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
cool. I like it. So talking about that, then talking about the fighting mentality, let's look to the future a little bit as well, because there's some big fights out there for you. Now you've got the British title, so obviously you've got defenses of that. You probably maybe got your eye on other belts. There's a lot of options. So in your own words, are there specific people that you'd like to fight, or are you just thinking whoever you put in front of you, you'll fight them, or other people that you'll kind of
Whoever boss puts in front of me, to be honest with you, I'll fight anyone. There's been loads of opponents who I've had everyone who's thrown at me. I'm like, yeah, and they pull out on me. But to be honest, Tom Moggs is the one he had an interview with you and he threw my name out at you. He was meant to fight me for this title, but ended up on another short week before. I'm not really bothered. Whoever want to throw, whoever want to put in front of me, I'll fight them. But I've got this title defence here against this Dasper, beat him, and then beat European next, late British title, and onto European. Fly somebody in from another country to come and fight me.
amazing. Yeah, amazing. That'll be awesome, because he's obviously bringing in some international talent as well for Spartan, which I think is amazing. Like with recently, obviously Robbie Adamson and Gilberto fight as well, things like that. So it's good to see the international. I know it's a different weight, but it's good to see the international talent coming in as well. So yeah, and obviously you mentioned the title defense as well. We need to touch on that in terms of like how your preparations going. Obviously, don't need to give too much away with your game plan and stuff. But I know obviously you're very dedicated in your training, and when we've been on Zooms before, you've often actually been in the gym talking to me and stuff like that. So Can you just talk to us a little bit about your training, but without giving too much away, if you get what I mean? But just give us a little bit of an insight into your dedication and some of what you do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I've got own gym at back garden, as you've just said. So when I start training, I'll be starting from Monday. I'll be doing a 7-week camp. I know I should have been doing it before, but just been too busy with work, etc., not getting home till late. But I'm starting Monday, and when I start training, it's every day. I come home from work, I'm in that gym 2-3 hours every day. And that'll be it till probably 4 days, 5 days before fight. And I just train hard, bang that bag, standing trade with that bag, throw, hard shots every time. And that's why you'll see as I come out straight out banging. That's what the pit's about. You can't train. There's two. Training for boxing and training for pit is two different things. And then I've got my own gym at back garden, but I'll go to other gyms. I'll go down to Robbie Adamson's gym and do a bit with him, or Lee Paul. I go out do it. I go training with him. I've got other lads who come down to my gym sparring. All bigger lads. I spar with all bigger lads. So yeah, I just do what I do. Keep going, moving about from gym to gym, and spend most of the time in my gym, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's excellent though. I got a lot of respect for that. I got a lot of respect for that because you're very dedicated, I'm not picking favourites with any other fighters, but I love your mentality to your training because I remember I think it was before your debut, but you put up this thing saying, the monk is ready for Fight Fest, but his Fight Fest is ready for the monk or something like that. But it just really highlighted, how hard you've been working towards it and really putting hours in. So obviously now you're reaping the rewards, which is awesome. Which brings me to one other thing to touch on there as well is the mental side of it, because obviously when you're getting in the pit, like I say, you're getting in the most brutal, form of fighting around, really. So I want to get a feel for how you're feeling on the build up to a big fight. Now, and not so much in terms of nerves and things like that, because I know obviously that's probably not your problem, and you put the training in, you put the hours in, but just more in terms of the bit that the fans don't see of what's going on up here. You're getting ready to go to war. I mean, at the end of the day, absolute war. I say, it's always carnage in there. So, how do you mentally prepare for that? Do you just push it out your mind? Do you think about it much? What's the vibe with that type of thing?
But I normally set myself on the opponent I'm training, I'm fighting for, but to have that many pull out on me, it's like could be a couple of weeks before the fight will pull out, and it does your head in, to be honest with you. So I don't really. I've got into that mindset now where I don't really set myself, and I just train. And nerves, people say if you say you don't get nerves, then you're lying, but I don't get nerves. It's mental. I do not get nervous for a fight. I love it. I was born to fight, and I love it.
Yeah.
Just want to get in bed and get it done.
That really comes over. That does, is how much you love it. You have your passion for it comes over, and that's the way it's got to be. If you're getting in there, something as tough as a pit, you've got to be 100%. But yeah, the other side of it with the mindset people putting out, it's got to be. It's got to put a bit of a downer on things. But I love that. I've known a few champs do that, where they just train. They don't really go into camp as such. They just train all the time, and then they just step it up a bit for a camp. And usually it works pretty well because you never know when you could get a call last minute or something as well. So it's a good system. So it's a good system for that point of view. So obviously working with Spartan as a company, working with Christian, I know you love it and you always post on the page. You're very supportive, but it's great to give them a shout out as an organisation. What it's like to work with them and how they treat the fighters. And I know they treat them great and everything, but I still want to give that shout out if you get where I'm coming from. So what is it like working with them as a team and working with Christian, working with the organisation, from that point of view?
It's like one big family. We get people in, obviously, slating us and stuff like that. We're not going to be but we're like one big family. It's like people say stuff about Christian, but it's not like that. I found him out to be he's absolutely great with me. You get people leaving Spartan and then wanting to come back. It says something about it, doesn't it? Either think grass is green on the other side, but we're always wanting to come back. Spartan, like I said, Spartan made me the name. I've got promoters ringing me up, well, not ringing me, messaging me, asking me to fight here, fight there. But I'm with Spartan. I want to fight for Spartan, and that's what I'll stay with.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the amount of respect everyone has for everybody. Because even when lads are going at it in the pit or whatever afterwards, you can just shake hands, have a beer, have a laugh, whatever. And you know what I mean? Because people just want to fight, and I love how with Spartan, and it's not even a question, but just I love how, you know, a lot of the politics is, they're not the politics in there that you get with like boxing and MMA and other fight sports, you know, because I love those sports, but there's so much politics, there's so much fake trash talking, so
Yeah.
much people ducking people, and you don't get any of that. You just get people who straight up, you know, want to fight. And yeah, what you said about Christian as well, he's got a heart of gold like that. He's a great guy, and you know, I wish him all the best like that, you know. And I found the same thing working with him. He's solid. But yeah, so that gives a little shout out to the brand. And obviously the other thing is I'm not sure what the situation is with this, but just to give a shout out to other team members. I mean, in terms of if you have any sponsors or if you have certain other people specifically that help you. You mentioned lads in the gym who you train with. Is there anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to, just in case I've missed anyone that's a
I've got
part
my
of?
sponsors. There's like Gaff Gym over in Skegness. Andrew, who's a good pal of mine. He's a sponsor. He's been sponsored from day one. There's Fuel It Designs, their official clothing for Spartan as well. They sponsor me, help me out with my designs and stuff. We designed this one. We've designed all my kit. My last fight shorts, my last fight kit, she designed that for me. I've got a silent sponsor. He don't want to be mentioned, but yeah, he helps me out. There's Yorkshire Property Care and safeguarding all fighters and eventualities. They're another good one. They help all fighters out. Darren Wilson and Christian and all staff at Spartan. We've already given them a mention anyway. So yeah, Callum Sadler, he trains for me. He comes over and does some training. He's a no lad. He fought last year, his debut. He fought Mike Vickers, finished him at first round. Part of Team Wakefield. We're building a Team Wakefield. Hey, Wakefield lads will be there hopefully. Got another one coming over to us soon hopefully. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing. Well, you know, it's been a good little insight into your life and career so far, and you know the different aspects of your team, your training, you know the fights you've had and the fights that are coming. Some good people you give a shout out to there as well. You know, so there's some good people. So I think the future is very very bright. You know, obviously, you know with this next fight of yours now, this defense. Wish you the best of luck as always, and you know with a lot of the other big fights out there, looking forward to following your journey from here. And you know, when you've got some more fights down and some more belts, we'll do another one of these and get it back out there. But you know, at the moment, I know it's the start of the journey, which has been very exciting. But you know, the future's very bright. So you know, so yeah. So thank you for your time, mate, and thank you for hopping on this, and thank you for sharing everything you shared. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.